Most people choosing animals for small land are making the same mistake. They're copying large-scale Western farming models on a fraction of the space, then wondering why it fails. But Japanese farmers solved this problem centuries ago. On land smaller than a typical American backyard, they built productive, healthy, self-sufficient animal systems that fed entire families, generated income, and asked for almost nothing in return. That knowledge didn't disappear because it stopped working. It got buried when industrial farming took over and told us bigger was always better. In this video, I'm uncovering 6 forgotten animals Japanese farmers raised on half an acre, animals that still work today, especially if you value sustainability, nutrition, family food security, or smart investment. If you believe small land can still produce real results, this channel is for you. I share forgotten animal systems like this every single week, and subscribing means you won't miss the knowledge most people never learn. Welcome to the Animal and Plant Lost Vault. Let's unlock it. 1. Koi carp raised as a dual-purpose investment fish. This animal matters because it solves one of the quietest survival problems small landowners face: how to produce healthy protein and generate reliable income from land that already has water on it. Our ancestors understood this. Modern decorative culture trained us to ignore it completely. The reason this system worked wasn't technology. It worked because it matched real life on a Japanese farm: limited flat land, seasonal flooding, and low resources. Koi were never originally bred to sit in ornamental garden ponds. They were raised in flooded rice paddies as a productive, self-sustaining food source. The system didn't depend on expensive feed, electricity, or outside inputs. That's exactly why it lasted for generations. Historically, all farmers needed was a naturally flooded or irrigated paddy field, juvenile koi fingerlings and rice seedlings planted at the same time. No specialized tanks, no filtration systems, no modern aquaculture equipment. The practice was straightforward. Farmers flooded the paddy, transplanted young rice, and introduced small koi into the same water. The fish moved freely through the paddy rows. No maximizing. No scaling, just a consistent seasonal rhythm that repeated itself year after year. To maintain it, farmers focused on one thing: the natural behavior of the fish within the paddy ecosystem. Koi fed on insects, weeds, and organic matter already present in the water. Their movement stirred the soil, improved water oxygenation, and kept the paddy naturally healthy without chemical inputs. Over time, this system didn't just provide food, it created genuine stability. Families harvested koi alongside rice, giving them 2 productive outputs from a single plot of land. The protein was reliable, clean, and healthy. Dependence on outside food systems dropped significantly. And here's the detail most people miss entirely. The natural mineral content of paddy mud, rich in iron, calcium, and organic compounds, made traditionally raised koi healthier and faster growing than fish raised in artificial tanks. That same mineral-rich environment is also why mature ornamental koi raised in natural conditions command extraordinary prices in today's market. A single high-quality koi can sell for hundreds to several thousands of dollars, making this one of the most overlooked investment animals available to small landowners in the U.S. today. You don't need a rice paddy to replicate this. A well-managed half-acre pond or even a large natural bottom pond achieves the same foundational principle: match the animal to the environment it already thrives in, and let nature do the productive work. 2. Japanese quail, Coturnix japonica. This animal matters because it solves a problem most small land families quietly struggle with: how to maintain a steady, healthy, affordable source of protein without the space, noise, or cost that chickens demand. Our ancestors understood this balance. Modern backyard farming culture almost completely overlooked it. The reason this system worked had nothing to do with advanced breeding programs or specialized equipment. It worked because quail matched the reality of compact Japanese homesteads perfectly. Limited space, minimal feed resources, and the need for consistent daily nutrition made quail the most practical, productive bird available. They didn't need large enclosures, didn't disturb neighbors, and didn't require the kind of investment that made most families hesitate. Historically, all a family needed was a small, stackable wooden or bamboo cage system, a consistent light source, natural sunlight through a window or open shelter was enough, and a modest supply of grain or foraged feed. No elaborate coop construction, no large outdoor runs, no significant startup cost. The practice was beautifully simple. Farmers housed quail in compact stacked cages, maintained a natural daily light rhythm, and collected eggs every single morning. Coturnix quail begin laying eggs at just 6 weeks of age, faster than any common backyard bird. And a small flock of 12 females produces enough eggs to meaningfully supplement a family's nutrition daily. To sustain it, farmers focused on one natural behavior: the quail's instinct to lay consistently under a stable light and temperature routine. Disrupt that rhythm and production drops. Respect it, and the system runs itself with almost no intervention. Over time, a small quail setup didn't just provide eggs. It created a life-changing nutritional resource. Quail eggs carry higher concentrations of vitamins B1, B2, and iron compared to standard chicken eggs by weight. They are widely recognized in both traditional Japanese wellness culture and modern nutritional research as a functional, healthy food, commanding premium prices at farmers' markets and specialty grocery stores across the U.S. One detail most people miss is the value of quail droppings as fertilizer. Quail manure is exceptionally high in nitrogen and breaks down quickly into one of the most productive natural soil amendments available. A small quail operation quietly feeds not just the family table but every garden bed and growing space on the same half-acre, completing a fully self-sufficient, sustainable production loop that costs almost nothing to maintain. 3. Silkie chickens. This animal matters because it solves a problem most families raising backyard birds never anticipate: the gap between standard egg production and genuinely rare, life-changing nutritional value. Most people choose chickens for volume. Japanese farmers chose silkies for something far more valuable. Our ancestors understood the difference between productive and merely common. The reason the silkie system worked wasn't about high egg numbers. It worked because silkies delivered what compact, low-input family farming actually needed: a calm, self-managing, dual-purpose bird that produced healthy food and sustained itself with minimal resources. In small Japanese village settings, a bird that caused no disruption, required no large space, and provided both eggs and premium medicinal meat was worth more than any high-production breed that demanded constant management. Historically, all a family needed was a small enclosed yard or corner of a garden, sometimes no larger than a generous garden bed, a simple wooden shelter, and access to kitchen scraps and natural foraging ground. No grain-heavy diet, no medical interventions. Silkies are naturally hardy, calm birds that manage stress far better than standard breeds in confined spaces. The practice was straightforward. Farmers gave silkies a small, safe enclosure, allowed them to forage freely for insects and plant matter during the day, and supplemented lightly with grain and household food scraps. No maximizing output, no forced production cycles. The birds set their own productive rhythm and consistently delivered. To sustain it, farmers focused on one natural behavior: the silkie's exceptional brooding instinct. Silkies are the most reliable natural mothers of any chicken breed. They hatch and raise chicks without incubators, without electricity, and without human intervention. This single trait eliminated the biggest startup investment barrier for family flocks, making generational self-sufficiency genuinely accessible. Over time, silkies provided far more than eggs. Their black-boned meat, a rare genetic trait called fibromelanosis, has been used in East Asian medicinal cooking for over 1,000 years. The traditional broth known as wu ji tang, made from slow-cooked silkie meat, is documented to support immune health, circulation, and recovery. Modern nutritional analysis confirms silkie meat contains higher levels of carnosine and antioxidants than standard chicken breeds. In the U.S. today, silkie birds and their eggs sell at significant premiums in Asian grocery markets, specialty farms, and online homestead communities, making them one of the most quietly profitable, sustainable investments available on a small property. 4. Japanese honeybees, Apis cerana japonica. This animal matters because it solves a problem most small landowners don't even think about until their harvests start underperforming: invisible, silent pollination failure. Without consistent, healthy pollination, every fruit tree, vegetable garden, and flowering crop on a half-acre produces a fraction of what it should. Our ancestors built entire productive farm systems around solving this quietly. Modern beekeeping moved away from the solution that was already working. The reason the Japanese honeybee system worked wasn't complicated management. It worked because this bee was perfectly matched to its native environment. Japanese honeybees, Apis carena japonica, evolved alongside local flowering plants, local parasites, and local predators for thousands of years. They developed natural resistance, natural rhythms, and natural defenses that European honeybees, introduced into Japan and widely spread across the U.S., simply do not carry. The Japanese system didn't depend on chemical treatments, hive inspections, or beekeeper intervention. It ran on the bee's own deeply reliable instincts. Historically, all a farmer needed was a simple hollow log hive or a basic wooden box placed near flowering plants or fruit trees. No specialized frames, no extraction equipment, no protective suits for routine management. The bees did everything themselves. The practice was almost entirely hands-off. Farmers set up a natural hive structure, positioned it near their productive garden or orchard, and waited. Japanese honeybees are known to scout and self-colonize suitable hives, meaning the bees often find the hive on their own without being purchased or manually installed. Once established, the colony manages itself through the seasons with no required intervention. To sustain it, farmers focused on one natural rhythm, the bee's annual honey storage cycle. Japanese honeybees are harvested just once per year, in late autumn, when the colony has stored its maximum honey reserve. Taking only a portion of the comb preserves the colony's survival supply, ensuring the system continues without disruption year after year. Over time, this sustainable system delivered compounding value. Japanese honeybee honey is significantly rarer than standard commercial honey, with a richer, more complex flavor profile that commands premium healthy food market prices. But the bigger invisible payoff was pollination. Every fruit tree, berry bush, and vegetable plant on the same half-acre became measurably more productive. One detail most people miss is the Japanese honeybee's remarkable self-defense against giant Asian hornets, a genuine threat to European bee colonies. Japanese bees surround the hornet in a tight ball of thousands of bees and generate lethal heat through coordinated wing vibration, killing the predator without any human intervention. This makes them dramatically safer and more self-sufficient for family properties than any imported alternative. 5. Aigamo duck, Japanese rice duck. This animal matters because it solves one of the most expensive and time-consuming problems facing any small-scale food producer: weed control, pest management, and soil fertility, all at the same time, with a single animal that also produces food. Our ancestors figured this out centuries before the word sustainable existed. Modern chemical farming buried it so completely that most American growers have never heard of it. The reason the Aigamo system worked wasn't clever engineering. It worked because ducks are naturally driven to do exactly what a productive growing space needs done. They eat weeds, they eat insects, they disturb the soil surface in ways that improve water oxygenation, and they deposit nitrogen-rich waste directly where crops grow. Every single behavior the duck performs naturally translates into a productive farming benefit. The system required no external inputs because the duck itself was the input. Historically, all a Japanese farmer needed was a flooded or irrigated growing area, a small flock of Aigamo ducklings, a hybrid of wild mallard and domestic duck, introduced at the right point in the crop's growth cycle, and a simple low fence to keep the ducks within the productive zone. No herbicides, no pesticides, no synthetic fertilizer. The practice followed a clean, observable rhythm. Farmers introduced young Aigamo ducklings into the growing field shortly after transplanting young plants. The ducks moved freely between the rows, eating every weed, seedling, and insect they encountered. Their feet paddled the water surface continuously, stirring oxygen into the soil and suppressing weed regrowth. They never damaged the crop plants because their bills and feet were too small to harm established stems. To sustain it, farmers followed one critical natural timing rule: removing the ducks from the field before the crop reached its heading or fruiting stage. Before that point, the ducks were pure asset. After it, they became a risk. That single management decision was the entire system's maintenance requirement. Over time, farms using Aigamo ducks didn't just produce healthy, chemical-free crops. They gained a second productive output: duck meat and eggs, from the same animals that managed the field all season. The result was a genuinely self-sufficient, sustainable dual-income system running on half an acre. Aigamo farming is now being studied and revived across organic agriculture communities in the U.S. as one of the most life-changing, low-input models for small family food production available today. If this kind of forgotten animal knowledge is valuable to you, go ahead and give the video a like. It helps YouTube share this with others searching for real alternatives. And drop a comment below. Which of these animals surprised you most? Had you heard of any of them before today? I read every comment. This channel grows through shared knowledge, and your response genuinely helps. Thank you for being here. 6. Mishima Cattle. This animal matters because it permanently changes how small landowners think about cattle, and about what a rare, long-term investment animal actually looks like. Most people in the U.S. assume cattle require vast acreage, expensive grain feed, and industrial infrastructure. Mishima cattle have disproven every one of those assumptions for over 600 years. Our ancestors on Japan's remote Mishima Island didn't have access to grain imports, veterinary supply chains, or modern pasture management tools. What they had was a small island, natural grass, and a cattle breed that adapted to thrive on exactly that. The reason the Mishima system worked had nothing to do with modern breeding science. It worked because Mishima cattle were shaped entirely by necessity: low land, low input, and complete isolation from outside genetic influence. For over 6 centuries, this breed survived and produced on nothing but native island grasses and natural rainwater. No grain supplementation, no hormone treatments, no industrial feeding programs. The cattle's own genetics carried the productive efficiency that other breeds require external systems to achieve. Historically, Mishima Island farmers needed only a small enclosed natural pasture, access to fresh water, and the cattle themselves. The island's isolation meant no crossbreeding, preserving a genetic purity that makes Mishima one of the rarest cattle breeds on Earth today. The practice was entirely pasture-driven. Cattle grazed freely on native grasses through the seasons. Farmers managed grazing rotation to prevent overuse of any single area. No maximizing weight gain on compressed timelines. No feedlot staging. Just consistent natural growth at the animal's own pace, producing beef with a fat marbling structure that rivals, and in some documented comparisons exceeds, the most premium Wagyu grades available commercially. To sustain it, Mishima farmers focused on one principle: protecting the natural diet and environment the breed had adapted to. Remove the animal from that environment, force grain feeding, or introduce crossbreeding, and the system's entire value collapses. Keep it natural, and the productive output sustains itself across generations. Over time, Mishima cattle provided far more than beef. They represented a rare, generational family investment in an animal whose genetic value appreciates alongside growing global demand for authentic, healthy, grass-fed beef. Mishima beef is currently among the most valuable beef in the world on a per-pound basis, with documented sales in premium U.S. markets at prices that reflect both its rarity and its nutritional profile. One detail almost no small farmer considers is that rare cattle breeds like Mishima carry breeding rights value, meaning the productive investment isn't just in the meat. It's in the living genetic asset that grows more valuable as the breed becomes rarer and more sought after by sustainable agriculture communities worldwide. Vault Insight. Here's something rarely discussed in modern farming conversations. Every single animal covered in this video thrived not because Japanese farmers were exceptional managers, but because they chose animals that were already adapted to the conditions they were working with. Small land, limited feed, unpredictable seasons, minimal outside resources. The self-sufficient farm didn't start with land. It started with the right match between animal and environment. Modern farming advice in the U.S. almost universally does the opposite. It starts with the animal someone finds appealing, or the one that produces the highest volume number, and then tries to force that animal to perform in conditions it was never designed for. That's why most small farm livestock projects fail. Not because the people are doing it wrong, because the animal was the wrong starting choice for the conditions available. Japanese farming tradition had a different foundational principle: Find what already works naturally in the space you have and then simply maintain the conditions that allow it to keep working. That philosophy is why Aigamo ducks didn't need pesticides, why Japanese honeybees didn't need chemical treatments, why Mishima cattle didn't need grain. The natural match between animal and environment replaced every input that modern systems charge you to provide. The most life-changing shift any small landowner or family farmer can make isn't buying more land or investing in more equipment. It's learning which animals already want to thrive in exactly the kind of space you already have. That knowledge is what this vault exists to preserve. You don't need more animals. You don't need more land. What changes everything is having the right knowledge about which animals actually fit the space and resources you already have. Take one idea from today, just one, and sit with it. Research it. Think about whether it fits your land, your family, and your goals. That's how forgotten systems come back to life. Not all at once. One honest decision at a time. Japanese farmers weren't working with more than most American families have available today. They were simply working with better matched systems, built on generations of quiet observation. That knowledge still works, and it belongs to anyone willing to learn it. If you want more hidden animal knowledge like this, systems that were buried, overlooked, or forgotten when modern agriculture took over, subscribe to the Animal and Plant Lost Vault. This channel exists to preserve what worked before it disappears completely. Thanks for opening the vault with me today. I'll see you in the next one.